Winston's birthday surprise. In a dense, emerald forest where the trees danced with the wind and the air was filled with the songs of birds, there lived a wise old wolf named Winston. Winston was well loved by all the forest creatures for his kindness and wisdom. He had a thick coat of silver fur that shimmered like moonlight and eyes as warm as a winter's fire. Winston's birthday was approaching, a time usually marked by a grand celebration with all his friends. But this year, something seemed amiss. As the day drew closer, not a single creature spoke of his birthday. No whispers of plans or hints of a party. It appeared to Winston that everyone had forgotten about his special day. On the morning of his birthday, Winston woke up feeling a touch of sadness. He decided to take a walk through the forest to clear his mind. The sun filtered through the leaves in golden beams, and the air was crisp with the scent of pine and earth. It was a perfect day, yet Winston's heart felt heavy. As he wandered, he passed by the homes of his friends. The squirrels were busy gathering acorns, the birds were teaching their young to fly, and the rabbits were playing hide and seek in the meadows. Everyone seemed too busy to remember his birthday. Winston sighed and continued his walk, deeper into the heart of the forest. He came to his favorite spot by the tranquil lake, where the water was as clear as glass. He gazed into the water, reflecting on the many years he had spent in these woods and the friends he had made. Perhaps they are all just too busy, Winston thought to himself, trying to brush away the disappointment. Unbeknownst to Winston, his friends had not forgotten his birthday at all. In fact, they were preparing the biggest surprise party Winston had ever seen. They had been planning it for weeks, and everyone had a part to play. The birds were in charge of decorations, stringing colorful leaves and flowers from the trees. The squirrels had collected nuts and berries for the feast. The rabbits had found the softest moss to create a dance floor, and everyone had worked together to bake Winston's favorite treat, a big, honey-sweetened cake. Back at the lake, Winston decided it was time to head home. As he made his way back, he tried to accept that there would be no celebration this year. When he arrived at the clearing near his den, Winston stopped in astonishment. "Surprise!" shouted all his friends, jumping out from where they had been hiding. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting a soft, joyful glow all around. A feast was spread on large leaves, and in the center was the most wonderful cake he had ever seen. Winston was speechless. Tears of joy welled up in his eyes as he looked at all his friends, who were smiling and wagging their tails with excitement. "We could never forget your birthday, Winston," exclaimed a small rabbit, hopping forward. "You mean so much to all of us." The party was merry and filled with laughter. Winston danced with the rabbits, sang with the birds, and shared stories with everyone. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting silvery light through the trees, Winston felt the warmth of love and friendship envelop him. As the party came to a close, Winston thanked each of his friends for this beautiful surprise. "I thought I had been forgotten, but I see now that I am indeed very rich in friends," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "No, Winston, a wise and kind friend like you could never be forgotten," replied a wise old owl from atop a nearby tree. And so, under the shimmering stars, surrounded by the sounds of the nocturnal symphony, Winston realized that the best gifts are not always wrapped in paper, but rather in moments of love and camaraderie. With a heart full of gratitude, Winston knew this was a birthday he would never forget. Winston's new friend. In the heart of a vast, whispering forest, where each tree had a story to tell and every breeze carried a secret, lived Winston, a gentle and wise wolf. His fur was a silvery gray, like the mist of early mornings, and his eyes were kind and inviting. Winston loved his forest home, where the melody of rustling leaves and chirping birds filled the air. Despite having many acquaintances among the forest dwellers, Winston often strolled through the woods alone, pondering the mysteries of the stars above. But one crisp autumn day, his usual solitary walk was about to change. As Winston ambled through a particularly dense part of the woods, his keen ears caught a soft sound that was out of place. It was a gentle sobbing, coming from under a bushy patch of blueberries. Winston approached slowly, his instincts mixed with curiosity and concern. Hidden in the shadows of the blueberry bush was a tiny bunny with fur as white as the snow that caps the distant mountains. She was trying to reach for the berries, but they were just too high for her little hops. "Hello there," Winston's voice was soft and friendly. "Why are you so sad?" The bunny looked up, her eyes wide with surprise and a flicker of fear. "Oh, I'm just so hungry and I can't reach the berries," she stammered, her voice a tiny bell in the vastness of the forest. "My name is Winston. What's yours?" he asked, sitting down so he wouldn't seem so big and intimidating. "I'm Lola," the bunny replied, her voice still quivering a bit. "I'm new here. I got lost from my family and I don't know how to get back." Winston's heart softened at her plight. "Well, Lola, you're not alone anymore. Let's get you some of these berries first, shall we?" With a gentle swipe of his paw, Winston knocked down a shower of juicy blueberries, much to Lola's delight. As Lola nibbled happily, Winston pondered how to help her find her family. An idea struck him. "Lola, would you like to come with me on my walks? We might find your family along the way, and we'll meet lots of my friends who know this forest much better than I do. They might be able to help." Lola's face brightened with hope. "I would love that, Winston. Thank you." And so their friendship began. Each day, Winston and Lola would explore new parts of the forest. Winston introduced Lola to his friends: Oliver the owl, who knew every tree, Henry the hedgehog, who knew every tunnel, and Lily the squirrel, who knew every path. They all promised to keep a lookout for Lola's family. As the days turned into weeks, Lola and Winston shared many adventures. They played hide and seek among the autumn leaves, raced across meadows bathed in moonlight, and shared stories under the starry sky. Lola learned that Winston had a deep love for the stars. He taught her their names and the patterns they made in the night sky. Lola, in turn, showed Winston the joy of small things. She taught him to appreciate the beauty of a single flower and the fun of chasing leaves as they fluttered to the ground. Winston had never felt happier, and neither had Lola. One misty morning, as they were playing near the river, they heard a call. "Lola, Lola!" It was Lola's family searching for her. The reunion was joyful and tearful. Lola introduced Winston, her hero and best friend. Lola's family was grateful to Winston and invited him to visit anytime. Lola whispered to Winston, "Even though I found my family, I hope we can still have adventures together." Winston smiled, his heart full. "Of course, Lola. We will always be friends, and there are many more adventures waiting for us." From then on, Lola and her family often joined Winston on his walks. The forest was alive with the laughter and chatter of the new friends, and Winston no longer walked alone. His and Lola's friendship reminded everyone in the forest that sometimes the friend you need comes along when you least expect it, and they can change your world in the most wonderful ways. Winston's hide and seek. In the heart of a lush, vibrant forest where the trees stood tall and proud and the air buzzed with the energy of life, there lived a wolf named Winston. Winston was not just any wolf. He was kind-hearted and loved by all the creatures of the forest. He had a thick coat of silvery fur that shimmered in the sunlight and eyes that sparkled with friendliness. One sunny morning, Winston decided it was the perfect day for a game of hide-and-seek. He loved playing games, especially with his friends, because it brought laughter and joy to everyone. So, he set off through the forest to gather his friends for a day of fun. First, he visited his friend Ruby, a cheerful rabbit who was excellent at finding the best hiding spots. Next, he found Oliver, a wise old owl who, despite his age, enjoyed the playful antics of his friends. Then Winston invited Henry, the hedgehog, known for his cleverness and quick thinking. Lastly, he found Lola, the spirited bunny he had recently befriended, who was always up for any adventure. "Let's meet by the great oak," Winston announced, his voice booming with excitement. "We're going to have the best game of hide-and-seek ever." As the word spread, more of Winston's friends decided to join. There was Felix the fox, known for his sly moves, and Lily the squirrel, agile and fast. By the time Winston reached the great oak, a whole crowd of forest creatures had gathered, all buzzing with excitement and chattering about their hiding strategies. Winston stood by the great oak, which served as the home base. "I'll count first," he declared, his tail wagging with enthusiasm. "Everyone, find your hiding spots. I'll count to 50. As Winston covered his eyes against the rough bark of the great oak, all his friends scattered, rushing to find the best hiding places. Lola and Ruby teamed up, darting under bushes and behind logs. Felix the fox slipped silently behind a waterfall, and Lily the squirrel zipped up to the treetops. 1, 2, 3! Winston began to count, his voice echoing through the forest. Meanwhile, the animals found their spots, giggling and whispering excitedly. Oliver the owl chose an old hollow tree, tucking his feathers in tightly. Henry the hedgehog curled up under a pile of fallen leaves, perfectly camouflaged. 48, 49, 50! Ready or not, here I come! Winston howled playfully as he finished counting and turned around. Winston started searching. He sniffed around bushes, peered behind trees, and even checked under rocks. One by one, he found his friends. Ruby was the first to be found, giggling uncontrollably behind a bush. Lola was next, trying to stay quiet under a fern, but her ears gave her away. Each friend was greeted with laughter and cheers as they were found, running back to the great oak to join Winston. However, Felix the fox and Lily the squirrel proved to be quite the challenge. Winston had to use all his senses, sniffing the air and listening carefully. Finally, a slight rustle in the leaves above gave Lily away, and a gentle splash near the waterfall revealed Felix. With everyone found, the group decided to play again, this time with Felix as the seeker. The game went on for hours, with different animals counting each time. The forest echoed with laughter and joyful shouts all day long. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow through the trees, the tired but happy friends gathered around the great oak. They shared stories of their clever hiding spots and the fun moments of the day. "It was the best day," Winston said, looking around at all his friends. "Thank you for playing with me. Let's do this again soon." His friends nodded, agreeing wholeheartedly. They all knew that days like this, spent in joy and friendship, were what made their forest home so special. Tired but content, they slowly headed home, already looking forward to their next adventure. In the heart of the forest, under the watchful eyes of the great oak, the bonds of friendship grew stronger, and Winston felt grateful for the wonderful community around him. The end. Don't forget to subscribe.